Hi, I'm Justin Suarez. I come from Santa Maria, California, where I'm currently at, but I also grew up in Milpitas, California. I was the class of 2020, so I just graduated this past June, and I majored in International Development Studies, Asian American Studies, and a minor in Digital Humanities. For IDS, I think at its core is supposed to be interdisciplinary. So that's what really appealed me to the major, is that it combined a whole bunch of different fields together under the main question of why are some countries developed, why are some countries developing, and why does this gap between poor and rich countries exist, and what are the root causes? So the different fields that encompass this area are history, economics, politics, sociology. I even had a class on environmental science and policy. And so it's all these different hodgepodge of topics coming together to explain that central question. Okay, I guess this is also my main critique of the IDS major, is that it's kind of, development as a concept is rooted in what we call the savior mentality. And so that's the belief that coming from like Western countries, or I mean, I guess this does have roots in white savior mentality, where it does come from a remnant of colonialism, where Westerners, specifically those from Europe, were going into other countries, other continents, believing that they could save the quote unquote civilized or uncivilized peoples of these different areas. And so that's why they created colonies, and that's why they implemented education systems in these other areas that reflected their own. And as a IDS major, it's something that I really wanted to really tackle and understand during my time in the IDS department and throughout all my courses. And so even though it's like a foundational kind of thing that remains in development, it's still something that can be studied upon and be able to think about how do we make sure that we're not just going into these places and just thinking about what we would want to see, but instead thinking about how do we work in partnership along with these indigenous communities or with these local populations in order to make sure that the solutions that we can help bring to the table are something that they would find useful and something that we can help them on. Me being able to apply and being able to navigate through the IDS department always would go first to your International Institute advisors. They will be your frontline, being able to make sure that you're on track, making sure that you have all the courses that you need. They were really instrumental when I was thinking about doing study abroad programs, how I would be able to incorporate that into my 5th year. Unfortunately, I didn't go through with those plans, but they were still there at every step of the process, making sure that I had the requirements that I need in order to make that a reality. In terms of how I apply and how I navigate IDS in the real life application, would be going through my Beagle Archaeological program through the Cotton Institute and also through Dr. Akabato on campus, because I am Bicolano from the Philippines, and that's my home province and region from my mom's side. And so by being in this area, even though my mom is detached from not like living in the area and we don't speak the language anymore, it will still help me conceptualize how do we still empower local communities into being able to be invested in archaeology by having town halls or being able to show them the stuff that we find and not just excavating, researching in isolation and taking back what we learned without giving back to the communities that we're doing the research in. So during the time of COVID-19, the job search is really, really difficult. I would say so, just because of the high unemployment rate and everyone being on the job market right now. It really makes for a really competitive environment in order to look for jobs. But I will say that as an aspiring public policy analyst myself, I have been updating my LinkedIn profile, getting ready my resumes and cover letters for job applications or job opportunities that I would come across on. Actually, I just got an internship offer this morning, being an intern for the Coalitions Department for Joe Biden for president. So I will most likely be accepting this. I have till tomorrow to accept, but I will have a part-time job up until November. My piece of advice for incoming international development studies majors would be to take everything with a grain of salt, right? I mean, that's also why we're at a university setting, so that we can be able to take the information that we have and be able to critically think whether they're wrong, right, what we think about it, what are different perspectives, what are different lenses that we can apply to different situations. As we do know, a lot more things are nuanced than we think about just off the first glance. And then my second piece of advice would be to really depend on your peers and your friends, especially when you're applying for the IDS major, especially because we do have to apply in. And so it's always a good piece of advice to have someone take a second look, a third look over your application before you're able to send it in formally. Okay, bye, everyone. Good luck.